Kashtira, they are finally here and I can finally talk about them. So there were two main reasons why I refused to talk about Kashtira on the channel up until now. Number one, I needed to pick up a bunch of cards before they got expensive. And number two, if I talked about it too much and I got that sponsorship video coming up, it would have been like kind of bad because it would have lowered the viewership and it was a bit of a balancing act, so I just didn't really talk about it too much on camera. But if you knew me in person, I would have been just blabbering about Kashtira non-stop. That kind of got annoying to some of my friends. But anyways, that's that aside, we're going to jump into the deck list, which I'm not going to spend too long talking about. I'm just going to go into the combo stuff that you guys need to know, and I can explain it during then so this video doesn't get too long since I want to go through 4 combos with you. So for the deck list, I'm only going to elaborate on cards that could use a little bit more explaining, but I really want to get to the combos, so I'm probably going to go through this rather quickly. Now, it's 3 Kashtira Unicorn. This is the card you want to see in every single opening hand because it is your Spell Searcher, your Extract Ripper, and it is your combo start. It's a 1-card combo, and that's why you want to see this every single time. Then we have the infamous Kashtira Fenrir, Spot Removal, as well as Extender Searcher. Not only does it search itself, but it can search for the other new Kashtira family members, and yeah, it's going to extend into free special summon. And speaking of free special summon, Kashtira Rise Heart can do the free special summon. 2 copies of this. I don't think you need a third because on its own it really does nothing, but this is the card that enables Shangri-Ira to start locking out zones. This does a triple card banish off the opponent's deck by simply banishing one of your own Kashtira cards from your deck, and this changes to level 7, but it does lock you into Xyz, so that's a ruling thing that you need to pay attention to. Then we have Scareclaw Kashtira and Tearlaments Kashtira. This one's just additional mills for you or your opponent. You can banish some more of their stuff, but as for the Scareclaw Kashtira, it can attack in defense mode, which is the whole point of this card, and also it negates whatever Kashtira or Scareclaw battles. So it's a really big thing. There's a ruling video about it. You guys can go check it out, but this is one of your board breakers, and it also hits pretty hard. As for the other parts of the engines that I splashed in, I decided to play the Adventure engine, so I play 1 Griffin Rider and double Water Enchantress. There's a little bit of conflict I'll explain later on when we get to the spells, but essentially this level 7 monster can be used as a body as well. And you don't want to have too many of these bodies because you're not playing Kashtira if you have too many adventure cards. Next, in terms of hand trap wise, or in terms of disruption, we have triple D-Shifter because it's a banish based deck. It doesn't harm you. Most of the time it doesn't harm you. It's really good, and it's also like a complete blowout. As for going second or cracking boards, double Lava Golem. You should play this, especially if you're playing the adventure package, because you can bounce this card back. Spell-wise, we start off with triple Field Spell. We have Pressure Planet Wraitsoth. This is your Monster Searcher, as well as your Pop and additional stat boost. It's really, really good. The Pop comes from Shangri-Ira. 1 Terraforming for the Field Spell Search. 3 copies of Kashtira Theosis, your Italy. 2 Kashtira Births. This is your Revival, and one of your level 7 normal summons don't require tribute. And triple Rite of Aramesir. Be careful when you use the normal summon of Kashtira Birth, especially when it's a Fenrir and you want to use Rite. These 2 things don't really mix because if you use Rite, normal summon monster can't activate their effect. So that's like a part where a lot of people kind of trip over, and I do want to elaborate on that because that's against the rules. We have Draco back and a Fateful Avenger to pair with the Rite of Aramesir. We just want the negation, but like, I still think it's worth playing. As for the rest of the stuff, triple Pot of Prosperity, digging for a 1-card combo. What else is better than this? And there is space in the extra deck for this. Double triple tack, just for more board breaking, or maybe look at your opponent's hand. From time to time, I think look at the opponent's hand is just the best play. And I play 2 copies of Book of Eclipse in the main right now. I side the last copy, but it's totally worth it. It cracks boards, and it's like a hard commitment for your opponent to counter this, because if they don't, they lose their whole board, more or less. And as for the last trap card, we have Kashtira Big Bang for, you know, summoning purposes as well as maybe wiping, but it's usually just for the summoning purpose of detaching, adding back, and summoning out. For the extra deck, we have 2 copies of Arise Heart. Everything should be played in 2s if you don't want to lose it out of your extra deck. So 2 copies of Arise Heart. This is your Macrocosmos, your constant reattacher, and your face down banish. This is going to be one of the most frustrating monsters for anyone to deal with. 2 copies of Shangri-Ira, which is your Zone Locker, your deck summoner, self-protection, enables your 1-card Arise Heart, and also procs the field spell for popping. And then we have 2 copies of Divine Arsenal Aether Sky Thunder. you need 2 copies. If you don't play a second copy, it's going to get ripped out every time from the extra deck in a mirror match when they go Diablosis and Banish. So this is the turn, and this send effect is just so lethal against that matchup, and especially when they already pre-set up the Xyz monsters for you to hit into. Then there's a couple of one-ups, okay? We have one Diablosis, which is the one that starts out the zone locking play, as well as look at your opponent's extra deck and rip a card out. Dracosack can lead either into the adventure package, or it can be used to out skill drain because it can tribute itself to pop a card, because that's a cost. So that's one way to out some stuff like skill drain. Big Eye, preferably you go second, you would go into Big Eye rather than the Mind Hacker, because Big Eye just has way more value. So you don't mind people ripping this card out because you're already going second. This is just better. And we have one Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. It's just one of those cards you can go into Zeus with, and since it's self-protected in terms of card effect, it's just pretty big and it's pretty good to whack into things. Or if you need to secure the game with a little bit of extra burn, then this might be your go-to. I'm still trying to refine the last couple of cards and maybe determine whether or not the Flare Metal is necessary, but basically the cards you've already seen, they are, to me, mandatory in the build. So as for the last 5, the last 5 cards are going to depend on your build. Arsenal Falcon for the Barrier Statue, Artifact Dagda for the Scythe Log, more doubled up names for the pure build, but for me, these are my 5. I have Almirage for the Ibli in the side, Cherubini so that I can do the Dracosack into Water Enchantress play. We can do Infinitrack Goliath exclusively just for dumping into the graveyard and reattaching onto a Rise Heart for protection, because that's actually machine. Donor for maybe the donor plays, but I haven't been doing this very often ever since I just popped stuff with Dracosack. And I have a Sprite Elf just so that I can link away the Cherubini and the Dracosack. So that's kind of my line right here. But a lot of this is still kind of up for debate. I've been just trying to cut down the donor because I haven't really actually used this very often. But you guys let me know. Let's get into the combo. Oh, just one more thing. Well, 2 more things before we jump into the combos. Number 1, we are launching our Onyx Black Sleeves. These have been in development for a year. You guys might be wondering, well, what takes so long about developing some black sleeves? Well, I wanted our own color, and I wanted the same shuffle feel as the white, and I wanted it in a gunmetal black with a reflective backing. I'll give you guys some close-up shots. And on top of that, we're also launching our 2023 tournament mat. And as you can see, it has the infinite MST pattern on this one. So yeah, if you guys want to check it out, get your hands on some of these new merch, you guys can do so at mstmerch.com. Thank you guys for your support. And yeah, so we got some real cool stuff for you guys. Anyways, let's get to the combo. Alright, combo 1, the standard combo, which is Unicorn plus any other of the monster names. So here we go. Starting off with the planet, we're going to add to our hand the Unicorn. Special summon out Unicorn. Using Unicorn's effect, we're going to add Kashtira Theosis. Activate the Kashtira Theosis, targeting the Unicorn. This is going to allow us to special summon out the Kashtira Fenrir. Activate Fenrir's effect, and we're going to add to our hand the Rise Heart. Now remember, we're locked into Xyz summons only, so let's start with the Xyz summon. We're going to summon out Kashtira Shangri-Ira. Next, we're going to activate Rise Heart, special summon it onto the field. We're going to activate Rise Heart's effect. For cost, we're going to banish, of course, our Big Bang. Here it is. We're going to banish the trap card. And that's going to mill 3, banish 3 face down, and this is going to become level 7. This is going to trigger the Shangri-Ira, and this is also going to trigger the Big Bang. Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, Chainlink 2, target the Shangri-Ira, and we're going to grab, say, the Unicorn or the Fenrir, it doesn't really matter. Add it back to your hand, special summon it, they get their zone lock. This is level 7. We can overlay these 2, okay? And we can make a Diablosis. But if you want to guarantee that you have more interactions against your opponent, you can activate the Scareclaw Kashtira, banish the Theosis, special summon out the Scareclaw Kashtira, and this is going to activate the Theosis. Theosis can add back the Big Bang into your hand. I don't know if this is really necessary. I don't really like this card in my hand or set on the field, but in this case, I don't have a token, so setting this is pretty safe and it can serve as another disruption. Because I already activated Shangri-Ira, I can immediately just overlay this into a Rise Heart. And now I can activate Diablosis. So I'll just activate, detach, and the thing is going to get banished for sure. So let's get rid of the Unicorn. And this is going to look at their extra deck, rip one out, and then there's going to a whole slew of chain is going to happen. So since something got banished face down, Shangri-Ira has now triggered. Something got banished face down, the Diablosis is going to trigger. So from their 1 zone lock, they're going to get hit by 2 more. But before that, this also triggered as well. So this is going to reattach a card. And reattaching Theosis is the best thing to do, since this is from the detaching and the mill. So this is the first part. So just Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, Chainlink 3, lock a zone, banish some more cards equal to the stuff that's already banished face down. And this one will get attached here. Now, because something got banished, of course, this is going to go off again, and this is going to go off again. So Chain Link 1, Chain Link 2, you get to basically attach some of your opponent's card or some of your own cards, and you're going to finish off with a thick Arise Heart that has a live effect, and you can set 1, and there's 3 zone locked. And if you do anything more, play a single card, the last 2 zones are going to get locked. So this is the standard basic play of Kashtira. Combo number 2, this is going to be the Draco Sack into the Adventure line, where you open mostly Kashtira cards, 3 Kashtira cards, including a Unicorn, a spell that summons out, and you have either the Fenrir directly or a level 7 non-Earth Kashtira. You could even be Ogre for all that matter. And this is how you do it. So let's just put away some of these cards. Say we don't have the Birth, we say we don't have the Fenrir directly. We're going to start the play off by special summoning out Kashtira Unicorn. And using the Unicorn effect, we're going to add to our hand the Kashtira Birth. Next, we're going to activate the Birth, and now we're going to normal summon out Tearlament's Kashtira directly from the hand. Don't use the effect. If you use the effect, you've botched the combo already, because you can't activate right on a normal summon effect, right? So instead, immediately just Xyz summon into a Draco Sack. Now we're going to activate Draco Sack's effect. We're going to detach whatever material and summon out 2 level 3 Mecha Phantom Beast tokens. Alright, so since they're both level 3s, this allows you to Xyz summon, use them as material for Cherubini. Use Cherubini's effect, and this is going to let us send the Water Enchantress into the graveyard, boost the attack, and that was the cost. Now you can activate the Water Enchantress effect, and this is going to search a copy of Rite of Aramesir into your hand. So looking pretty good so far. Next move, we're going to perform a Link Summon into a Sprite Elf. And you have not used the Birth ability to special summon yet, and that's what we're going to use in a second. We're going to activate Rite of Aramesir, so we can start getting some forced activation on your opponent, or you can get yourself the negation. So we're going to special summon out the token, as well as put the Fateful Adventure onto the field. Next, we're going to activate Kashtira Birth, and we're going to revive any of the monsters. I think you can keep these arrows open for perhaps the Griffin and maybe one of your more important Xyz monsters. That's my opinion. So I'm going to special summon out the next monster here, which is going to be Tearlament's Kashtira. We're not going to activate it just in case, oh, well, they're going to pop it or something, and that actually sucks. But this is going to be Chain Link on the Fateful Adventure. We're going to add the Draco back into our hand. I'm using a rare one just so it's easier to search compared to all these like ultra rare spell cards. So next, because we already have this, we're going to activate Fateful Adventure. We're going to add the Griffin, and we're going to throw the Draco back into the graveyard. Draco back's going to activate and trigger, and we're going to chain the Griffin Rider and special summon out Griffin Rider to prevent it from being negated like this. So this is going to re-equip, and this is our current hand. Now we can play Kashtira Theosis, targeting our own Tearlament's Kashtira, and this is going to let you special summon out your Fenrir. And you can activate Fenrir's effect. This is where it gives you the Rise Heart. You can activate Rise Heart to special summon itself, or you can immediately just overlay the two. Xyz summon into Shangri-Ira. Now you can activate, oh sorry, this is gone already. Now you can activate Rise Heart, special summon. Activate Rise Heart's effect, pay the cost. We're going to banish, of course, our Big Bang. And this is changed to level 7. They banish 3. This is going to probably lock out a zone. And you get to use Big Bang, of course, as a part of the effect, targeting the Shangri-Ira as Chain Link 1, Chain Link 2. That process it within that same chain. You can add back the Fenrir and special summon out the Fenrir. And if you do special summon out the Fenrir, you have a choice. If you're playing the package of Arsenal Falcon into Barrier Statue, this is where you put out the Barrier Statue. I would prefer to do that over using the Rise Heart, but in any case, you can just convert into a Rise Heart right here. Or you can go into Diablosis. Alright, Diablosis is also an option. If you go into Diablosis, that depends if you have a follow-up. If you have the follow-up where after you detach, you have another special summon, say through Tearlament's Kashtira, Scareclaw, or Scareclaw Kashtira, then you would drop that, and then you would also finish with the Arise Heart on top. But that's the only way that you can like max out instead. Okay, so combo number 3, we're looking at Big Bang in your hand. Having Big Bang in your hand is not exactly great. You lose the additional summon. You got to work your way around things, and in this particular hand where it's basically one unicorn, it's not that good. This is why we play the adventure package, and this is one of the highlights, but let's play it out. So we're going to activate the Wraith Sloth. Essentially, we're grabbing our unicorn right now, and we're going to do kind of a weird sequence, and it's really easy to trip up because you can activate one wrong card, and, well, you guess you don't have that play anymore. So we're going to special summon out the Unicorn, activate the Unicorn effect, and we're going to get Theosis into our hand. Next, we're going to activate the Rite of Aramesir, because now it's more or less free. We still have Big Bang stuck in our hand, and this is going to give us the token, okay, and our Fateful Adventure. The key here is that we got the Fateful Adventure, but we're not really going to activate the Monster Search effect of it until much later on. We're going to use Kashtira Theosis, target the Unicorn, and we're going to special summon out the Fenrir. Now are we going to use the Fateful? Yeah, we'll get the Draco back now, and then we're going to activate the Fenrir to get the Rise Heart. Activate the Rise Heart, special summon it. You know, all this is, you know, good and well, all in fun. And we're going to go into Shangri-Ira. Now we're going to activate the effect of the Rise Heart. We're going to banish a Birth since there's nothing else better to banish. I mean, this is the point where like, hey, I kind of want to use Overlap. It does make sense to use Overlap, but if you banish the Theosis, you could add back a Birth now. So we're going to banish 3 cards from the top of their deck. This is now level 7. This has now proc. This has activated. We're going to lock out 1 zone. Immediately from here, we go into the Rise Heart. And next, now is the time we're going to activate Fateful Adventure. Okay, we're going to activate Fateful Adventure. We're going to add the Wandering Griffin Rider into our hand, and we're going to basically send away the Big Bang. But because Rise Heart is here, now that's getting banished. This is going to trigger, and we're going to target the Shangri-Ira. We're going to add back, say, the Fenrir or whatever, and then special summon that back onto the field. So we generated our monster back. So in this case, it's not even that bad. We still also have the Griffin Rider. Don't forget to special summon that onto the field. So when you have something like this, depending on what you have in your hand. So the extra card here is that we have the Tearlaments Kashtira. If you have Scareclaw or Tearlaments, what you can do is you can turn either of these monsters. Like, you don't have to immediately go into the Griffin Rider. You can just turn one of these monsters. Say you special summon this, banish that, add back the Birth. You can overlay these two into the Diablosis and just mess with your opponent that way. You look at their extra deck, start zone locking some more, and then put the Negator up afterwards. Or you can go for like the 5 zone lock with this one because you banished the Birth. But let's back up a second here. So say you don't have, say, the Tearlaments Kashtira or the Scareclaw. Then what happens? Like, what would you do with the board? Well, you still special summon out the Griffin Rider. You can either end on a board like this, which is not bad. And ideally, you put the Rise Heart on top so that the Shangri-Ira has a zone to play with. But you can also, like, overlay these two and still make the Diablosis and mess with your opponent that way. And when you do the zone locking, you trigger the Pressured Planet Wraithsoth and pop your own token, just so that if they do have evenly matched for you, you're not stuck with the token. So that's like something that you probably would have to do. I'm thinking I would get rid of the token just because that's kind of a huge liability at that point. Okay, finally, the last combo I want to show you guys is the 5 zone lock. 5 main monster zone or 5 spell and trap zone. In general, most people will play stuff like Sphere Mode, so I don't recommend games 2 and 3. Only do this in game 1 where, you know, they don't have a lot of those board breaker cards mained out, you know, decked out in there. So let's start. So this one does require you specifically for the cheapest version to use Pressured Planet Wraithsoth, but if you have 4 monsters that are all different names of Kashtira, you can still do it. But this one in particular is the cheapest one, where it requires the least amount of cards. So it's a 3-card combo. Start off with the activation of Wraithsoth, add the Unicorn, and you are going to use this effect. That's why you have to have this. Special summon out the Unicorn. Using Unicorn's effect, we're going to add Birth to our hand. We're now going to activate the Birth and not use the effect yet. We're going to normal summon out our Fenrir. Fenrir effect, we're going to use that to add either Scareclaw or Tearlaments. So we're going to go for Tearlaments for this one because it's already there. Next, we're going to do some standard plays here. We're just going to overlay into Shangri-Ira. We're going to activate Rise Heart, special summon out Rise Heart. But next, we're going to activate Kashtira Rise Heart's effect. For cost, again, we're just going to go with the Big Bang. So once we get rid of the Big Bang, this is going to mill 3, okay? So 3 cards banished face down. This is going to trigger the Shangri-Ira. Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, the Big Bang. Big Bang target the Shangri-Ira. We're going to add back our Fenrir, and then we're going to special summon that onto the field, and the Shangri-Ira will lock out one of the zones, okay? And now we're going to activate Pressured Planet Wraithsoth, targeting our own Shangri-Ira, and we're going to pop it, except that we're going to protect it and basically get that free detach, okay? Next, I think you guys can see where the rest of it will go now. Next, we're going to activate Tearlaman's Kashtira. We're going to special summon this onto the field, and then we're going to banish the unicorn. Now we're going to activate the Birth to revive that same unicorn, and now we have a lot of monsters. Now this is still locked out. We have one zone locked out, represented by this. And next, this is level 7, so we're going to overlay these two. Okay, let's make some space. And we're going to go into Shangri-Era. Shangri-Era, number 2, and because you have a second Shangri-Era, these guys are not once per turn. Therefore, each copy is not once per turn either. Now I can overlay these two in the Diablosis. And since one of these will already lock 2 zones, then 2 of these will lock the remaining 4 zones. So if you go into Diablosis, the Mind Hacker, and then you activate Mind Hacker, well, there you have it. You use the cheapest version of the zone lock, but you do need Planet, Rise Heart plus Fenrir, or Planet, right? Basically, Planet can act as anything, but you need Unicorn, Rise Heart, and Fenrir to get to this point. Banish 4 cards total, zone lock 1, 2, and then because of this triggering again, of course, this is going to go zone lock 3 and 4 and 5, and there you have it. You've locked all 5 zones. This is Dunzos. I mean, they are really not going to play. Usually the game 1, if you do something to someone like that, the game is more or less over, which is why a lot of people are prompted into maining Book of Eclipse just in case of shenanigan like this, because it's, well, it's unplayable. And I guess that's all I got for this video. Hopefully you guys got an insight of some of the combo lines that you can see, different ways that you can extend through managing your levels in general. I think if you know how to manage your levels in general, use Birth to normal summon to your advantage. I think that really pushes this deck a long way. But zone locking itself is already a very punishing play, which is why people are pushing forward into a lot more board breakers rather than playing just straight up hand traps, because sometimes hand traps just don't do enough. You can eat through 3 hand traps with the right combination of cards, which makes hand traps not as reliable as they need to be. And with the adventure package, it even makes the Nibiru line even harder to play. So anyways, that's all I got for this video, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button, hit subscribe, ding that notification, but also check out mstmerch.com for our new sleeves. We got the black sleeves, and of course our new 2023 mat. I've been waiting for so long to release this, and now it is going to be available at mstmerch.com. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.